Now, this week, Security Council is still in consultation of the situation in Gaza. After the consultation on Monday, the Chinese permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Zhang Jun, and the UAE permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador Lana Nusabe, made a joint statement and urged for a humanitarian ceasefire.
We call for an urgent humanitarian ceasefire. The Secretary General just made the same call this morning, a humanitarian ceasefire now. This is desperately needed to enable full, rapid, safe, and unhindered humanitarian access, including for UN and humanitarian personnel, consistent with international humanitarian law. We urge all parties to take steps urgently towards a cessation of hostilities to ensure the protection of civilians. We demand that the parties to the conflict facilitate the continuous, sufficient, and unhindered provision of essential goods and services to all civilians throughout the Gaza Strip. These must include electricity, water, fuel, food, and medical supplies sustained and at scale.
We know that the U.S. announced that Israel is going to have daily 4-hour pauses for evacuation. Many of my colleagues in the briefing room on Thursday asked the reaction of the Secretary General of the United Nations. It seems that the UN believes it doesn't really offer enough conditions for real humanitarian work.
I mean, how any such halt in the fighting and how it would work for humanitarian purposes would need to be coordinated with the United Nations, especially on the issue of timings and location. And obviously, in order for this to be done safely for humanitarian purposes, it would have to be agreed with all parties to the conflict to be truly effective.
Also on Thursday, UNDP and ESCWA launched a new rapid assessment called the Gaza War, Expected Socioeconomic Impacts on the State of Palestine. The report suggests if the war in Gaza continues for a second month, the poverty rate in the State of Palestine will soar by 34%, thrusting nearly 500,000 additional people into poverty, as the GDP plummets by 8.4%, a loss of $1.7 billion.
If this fight continues till the end of the second month, the loss will be more than 8% of GDP. And if it continues till the end of the year, we are going to have a 12% loss in GDP. Just to bring it to you a comparison, Ukraine lost 30% of GDP in 1.5 years of fighting. To lose 12% of GDP in 3 months, that's massive and unprecedented. Along with that, a loss of 390,000 jobs already lost, and an increase of the poverty by more than 400,000 people. Actually, 500,000 people would join the poverty lines by the end of the second month of fighting. Now, even more important, if I may say, is the loss to human development. After 2 months of fighting, Palestine, and not just Gaza, would have lost 16 years of human development. Health and education and infrastructure and economic growth, that would be wiped out. Palestine would go back to 2005. All the investments, all the work, all the hard work of the international community and the Palestinian people will be lost since 2005.
Unfortunately, there's still no end in sight of this conflict, so we just hope what the report predicts won't be true.